Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to another episode of the Minecraft Survival Let's Play. I watched a Grian video recently and he said it doesn't really make sense when he does his intro and he says welcome back to another episode, and it made me realise my intro doesn't really make sense, but I've done it for long enough now so I'm going to keep doing it. But anyway, in the previous episode I finally finished the Netherite beacon after over 4 years of grinding. There was a few big breaks in that time, it's not like I only worked on this project. But it took me over 4 years to finally get it complete. So if you missed that episode, go check it out at some point. I put a lot of time and effort into it and I think it's one of the better videos that I've posted. But I put so much time and effort into this project over the last few weeks and then editing the video so I could get it uploaded. So I got a little bit burnt out of the game. So I took a little bit of a break and now I'm back again and I just want to kind of chill for this episode. I don't want to really do too much. So the plan is to do a Q&A episode while I collect some resources for some future projects. But before that, there was a recent update that added a few more items to the game that I need to collect. So the first one here is the dried ghast. So there's a few ways to get this. I'm not going to craft it because I don't have many ghast tiers and I don't have a farm for them yet. So I'll get onto that in a second. There's also the harnesses here. So these are easy enough to craft. You just need leather, glass and a little bit of wool. So I can get all of these crafted now. So that's the last one there. That's all 16 of the new harnesses. I do need to add all of these items to the checklist, but I'm going to get all of them before I do that. And for the next couple of items, I need to head over to the Nether. It's also possible to get the dried ghast if you just fly around the Nether and look for fossils. But the best way to get them is from piglin bartering. So I don't know how common the drop rate is, but I'm just going to turn this on and hopefully I get one pretty soon. And while I wait, I might as well just quickly give my thoughts on the new update. I've not really tried out the vibrant visuals part of it yet, but the happy ghast, I'm just not so bothered about them. I'm definitely not going to be using them for transport because I've got the elytra. They could be kind of useful in the future if I'm building up high and I want to use them instead of scaffolding. I might try that out at some point, but overall I'm just not too bothered about the update. There is a few nice changes though. I like the locator bar when it's on the screen at the bottom. So if you join a game with your friends, it points to where your friends are at. Although this world is a solo world, I do play on other servers and stuff with my friends sometimes. So it would be quite a useful feature to have that. But anyway, I managed to get my first dried ghast here. So I'm going to quickly see if there's any more, which there's one right here, because I want to know if these things stack. So they do stack. I don't know if that will be to 16, but it's probably up to 64. Which means I do need to get at least 64 of these, which shouldn't be a big deal because I've already got, well, there's a third one here and a fourth one here, so I managed to get 4 in about a minute and a half. So getting a full stack of these should not be an issue whatsoever. I always like when they add a new stackable item and it's easy to get a lot of it, because when they added things like pottery sherds, netherite blocks and even things like the heavy core, that added so much time to my overall challenge. So there's one more item that I need to get from this new update now. So I'm over here at my wither skeleton farm perimeter. I don't actually remember if I've shown this recently, but it wasn't too long ago since I finished digging it out all of the way to Bedrock. And now I'm just taking a little break from this project because I need to decorate the walls and that's going to take a long time to design it and then build it. So I'm just taking a break and I'll come back. But the reason I'm here is because there's a record disc you can get, and for some reason this ghast just didn't want to shoot. But there's a record disc you can get if you punch a fireball back at a ghast and it kills it, and I actually managed to do that pretty quickly. I don't know if it drops every single time, but I did manage to get one here and this is called Tears. I think I'm just going to quickly try to get one more just so I can have one to use and then I can have one for the storage room. So these do seem to have a 100% drop rate. So I'm going to add these 2 items to the shulker box here. And this should be all of the new items that got added in the most recent update. And these are all of the items that got added in the last update. And I actually forgot 2 of the items at the time. So I collected all of these items when it came out and I showed that in the video. but I just completely missed the different variants of the eggs that got added to the game. I don't quite know how, but I managed to completely overlook it. So there's a brown egg and there's also a blue egg. And I probably wouldn't have even known if I didn't randomly find this brown egg laying around on the floor. So the brown egg is from the chicken that spawns in warm biomes, and the blue egg comes from the ones that spawn in cold biomes. And I came over here because I thought maybe the blue chickens could spawn over here, but I don't think they actually can. So I'm hoping those chickens can spawn over here somewhere. It might take me a while to find one. I finally found one after about 5 minutes of searching, but I was just a little bit too late. Okay, I found another few down here. Hopefully these two do not get attacked. So I'm going to try and lead these. I'll probably dig into this wall or something. I don't know if it's just my texture pack or if they actually usually look like this, but it kind of looks like they're wearing some kind of helmets on their head. But anyway, I'm just going to breed these up and then I'm going to wait here a while and eventually they should lay a few eggs. Okay, so this should be every single item that has been added to the game in the 2 most recent updates. I don't think I'm missing any this time, but I didn't think I was missing any last time and I ended up missing these eggs here. So I am going to add all of these to the checklist, but feel free to let me know down in the comments if I've missed anything. Moving straight onto the Q&A part of this video, I'm going to do this while I just collect some resources in the background. I do want to focus a lot on building over the next few months, and that's going to be so much easier to stay committed and dedicated to the builds if I've already got all of the resources there. But anyway, I'm going to answer some of the questions that I got asked in the last episode and over on TikTok, and I'm also just going to answer some popular questions that I get asked quite often. The first one here is actually a double question, so we'll answer the first part first. When do you think you will quit? So I don't know if this means quit Minecraft or quit this world or quit YouTube. So I'll answer all 3 of those. First of all, I never plan to quit this world. I will play this world for as long as I play Minecraft, unless it does get corrupted like my previous 2 did. Hopefully that doesn't happen and I can stick to this world. This is my forever world, which means as long as I play the game, I will be playing on this world. Do I plan to quit playing Minecraft? Not at the moment. I do still very much enjoy the game, so I'm going to keep playing it if I still enjoy it. Maybe 5 years down the line I won't enjoy it anymore and I'll stop playing, but for right now I still really enjoy the game as much as I ever have done, and I can't see me stopping anytime soon. And do I plan to quit YouTube? I don't really think this is what he meant by the question, but I do plan to keep uploading these YouTube videos, at least for the near future. I do actually want to grow the channel and try take YouTube a little bit more seriously, but that's kind of hard sometimes with my busy schedule in real life. And the second part of the question, do I watch any Minecraft YouTubers? So I've watched plenty of them over the years. I started watching Minecraft content back in about 2010 before the game was even released to the public. I used to watch EFO back then. When the game was released, I started watching Hermitcraft. So I think back then it was Exuma, Biffa, Slipgator and Mumbo joined I think in season 2. I still watch Exuma and Mumbo all these years later. I also try to watch the other hermits like Grian, Scar, Tango, Impulse. I don't have time to watch all of them all the time, but I'll always try and check in on their videos. But apart from Hermitcraft and the Third Life series that they do, I don't tend to watch a whole lot of Minecraft content anymore. And of course I do still watch Efo and his Let's Play videos as well. And he also added at the bottom he just wants me to write his name on a sign, so of course I just went ahead and did that. Moving on to the next question, how many deaths do you have in total? And what is the most common one? So I assume this means deaths on this world, and of course I've only got the one, which was pretty recently. If you didn't see it, I basically just wasn't paying attention to the screen, I didn't have any volume and I got killed by a few wither skeletons. But if we're talking about deaths in the overall time that I've been playing Minecraft, I'd actually die a whole lot and then I would learn from my mistakes. So if I died in lava in the Nether, which I remember doing a long time ago, I lost all of my stuff, and because I wasn't that great at the game, it took me so long to get all of that stuff back. So to make sure I never do that again, I've always carried a fire resistance potion in the Nether. And I'm trying to think back to some of the times I died back then when I used to play, and I think I remember fighting against a wither with one of my friends, and I must have died about 7 or 8 times to the wither. So I think most common death overall is probably from the wither. Next question is, how do you not get bored? So first of all, I just enjoy the game. I load it up, I've always got something I want to work on. If I don't want to work on a certain project, I can go do something different. There's so much to do in this game, I feel like you could never run out of ideas. I think always having plans and things to aim towards is going to help you stick to a world for the long term. If you start a world and your only aim is to kill the Ender Dragon, you're going to get bored of that world pretty quickly. You can start a world, go and get geared up, prepare to fight the dragon, and then kill the dragon within a couple of days. And then after that, you just don't know what to do anymore, so you quit the world and you start again. And then you just do the same thing again, and then you do it again and again and again. So you're just experiencing early game over and over. And I think that's why a lot of people get bored. So instead of starting a world only planning to kill the Ender Dragon, try and start a world with bigger plans. For me personally, I like to set challenges that keeps me interested in the game. I also like to work on some big projects that take me a long time to do. And quickly, I think another thing that keeps the game fun for me is that I don't cheat. I think a lot of people start a world, they maybe play it for a week, and then they start duping a bunch of diamonds and netherite and god apples and whatever else. And I think that just drains the fun out of the world. I know some people say that's how they like to play, that's how they keep the game fun, but those same people quit their world after 200 days, so is it really keeping the game fun for them? So yeah, to summarise, I enjoy the game, I try to plan for the long term, and I don't dupe my items. I suck at building, how can I improve? So I also used to suck at building. I was so bad at building when I first started. I think most people are. Some people are just very gifted, very creative. They load up the game, they instantly know what blocks to put with other blocks to make things look good. But I wasn't like that. The only advice I can really give for this is to watch YouTube, see what they do. Do not just copy what other people do, but maybe take little bits of inspiration. Maybe you see a build that you really like the block palette of, so try build something with the same block palette. Or maybe you see a house that somebody built and you really like the shape, so just try build something with a pretty similar shape, but of course take it in your own direction, try to add your own little spin on the build. Of course you can just follow tutorials on how to build certain things that are on YouTube, but you're not really learning how to build if you're just copying other people. Try to mix it up, add your own little spins on things, and over time you pick up a bunch of tips and tricks, and it's easier for you to throw together your own build from scratch. I still don't think I'm amazing at building, but I'm pretty proud of some of the builds I've made, and if I compared them to some builds I built in my early days, there's a massive improvement. Next question is, what is the best and worst thing about posting content to social media? So I'd say the best thing is being able to share my world and my builds to a bunch of other people. And some people like what they see, so they follow my content, so they want to keep track of how the world goes. And it's nice to know that at least 7,000 people over on YouTube have seen my content and they've liked it enough to subscribe. And I know that some of my builds do inspire others, so that's quite nice as well. I remember when I first started uploading to TikTok, which I think was in 2020 or something like that. I first started my base on the old world and a bunch of people copied it over the next few weeks. So it was nice to know that I created a build myself and a bunch of people liked it enough that they wanted it on their own world. And I still get a bunch of that these days when I build stuff. People always want tutorials or they ask if they can build it as well. So I like that I can inspire others to do builds on their world. And I'd say the worst thing is probably about recording the content itself. So sometimes I'm working on recording a video about a project and I want to get that video uploaded in the next week or two. So this usually means that if I get another idea in my head and I want to go work on another project, I can't really do that until I finish the one I'm doing and got this video uploaded. So there is some times where I really want to just go and work on something else for a day or two, but I don't have the time to do that because I want to record the video that I'm currently working on. So sometimes there's projects that I've had in my mind for 2 or 3 years, but I've just never had the time to go and get to them because I don't have the time to record a full video about it. And sometimes I just want to work on a project, but it's kind of hard to figure out how to make it into an entertaining video. So as much as I want to do it, I don't really do it because I can't do content around it. So yeah, I do enjoy uploading videos to YouTube and TikTok. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. But I do think it slows down my progression quite a lot on the world. Hence why I'm at day 21,000 and my world probably looks like a 5,000 day world. What type of comments do you hate the most? So I wouldn't say that I hate any of the comments. I do get quite a lot of hate, especially over on TikTok. I'm too old to really care about that. I'm not going to get upset that someone's called me bad at the game or whatever. But when I consider the ones that are most annoying, there's probably two that come to mind. So the first one is just repetitive comments in general. So this is not one particular comment, it's just getting the same one over and over and over and over again. An example is when I posted my Netherite beacon video and I used normal furnaces in my smelting system because I don't see the point of using blast furnaces for your main smelting system. And the comments were just flooded with people saying, oh, use blast furnaces, you should use blast furnaces are so much better, why do you use normal furnaces, use blast furnaces. And I understand they're trying to be helpful, but it's not really helpful, and surely at some point you see that, 50 other people have said this exact same comment, so you don't really need to comment it as well. And kind of related to those comments is the next part, which is the backseat gamers. No matter what you do on this game, if you post a video, somebody will tell you that you're doing it wrong and you should do it a different way. So an example of this is when I posted a video looking for deep slate emeralds. And I actually found 5 in the area, including 1 in that video that I posted. So obviously I'm looking in the right area, but some guy commented that I'm in the wrong place and I should be looking somewhere else instead. So again, I know he's just trying to be helpful, but it's just not helpful. Okay, taking a quick break from the questions. What I want to do next is just get some of the ores I've been collecting over the years. I've had this world over 4 years now. I use Silk Touch a lot to get ores rather than getting the actual items themselves. So I've got plenty of coal ore up here. I've got plenty of iron and gold, but I've got farms for this, so I don't need to place too much of this stuff. But you can see I've got some shulker boxes here full of these. Plenty of lapis over here. I've got plenty of diamonds, but I've got a video planned in the future for these, so I won't be mining them today. And I also want to mine all of the redstone that I've got as well. So the plan is to make like a giant ore tower somewhere. I'll probably make it over here. I know Scar did this with like an ore mountain at the start of season 10 of Hermitcraft. So I just want to see kind of how mine compares to that. I'm not gonna lie, my tower of ores does look a little bit disappointing here. And that's just because it's not much of a tower. I made it quite wide, it's 32 by 32. So it doesn't go very high. So it might not look very impressive, but this is over 15,000 ore blocks. So it took a long time to place all this. And I did decide to go ahead and place some iron and gold in here. I said I wasn't going to do that because I've got farms for these, so I've got plenty of iron blocks and gold blocks. But I want to get a bunch of the raw gold and the raw iron. It's quite nice, so I could build with it at some point. So I don't really know what you'd call this. It's not really an ore tower, it's more of a ore stump or something like that. But all I've got to do now is get to work with my fortune free pickaxe. And while I do that, I'm just going to get into some quickfire questions. So these are some questions that I've been asked, or ones that I get asked so often that I'm just going to answer them here. First of all, and possibly the most asked question that I've ever had on social media, is what is the texture pack? So it's called Faithful 32X. It's not actually available in the Bedrock marketplace anymore. I'm pretty sure you can still get it from some websites and then download it onto the console. But anyway, next question is what is the seed? So the seed is 107016. However, this doesn't actually exist anymore. This is an old Bedrock world. I started this over 4 years ago now. Since then there's been some major terrain changes, so unless there's a way to start a world on an old Bedrock version and then maybe update the world, I don't think you can access my seed anymore. Have you ever used dupe glitches? So obviously I've said I've not used them on this world, but I did use them back in about 2013 or something like that. I had a world with some friends, we had fun on that world for a few weeks. One day they all went offline and I decided to dupe a bunch of diamonds. I was only young at the time, so I thought it would be a fun thing to do, but I duped myself maybe a full double chest of diamond blocks, and I just instantly lost all motivation to play on that world, so since then I've never duped ever again. What is your favourite TV series? This is kind of a hard one to answer because I don't really have a favourite TV series. There's quite a few that I like, but I do struggle to sit down and just watch episode after episode after episode of any TV series. But some of the ones I've actually managed to finish that I've enjoyed. Breaking Bad, that's a popular one, a lot of people like that. The Walking Dead is another one, that's a very long one, it went on like 11 seasons, and then now there's spin-off shows which I also kind of like. I enjoyed it all the way to the end. I know a lot of people stopped watching that about season 7. There's a few Marvel series that I like as well, like Punisher, Daredevil, WandaVision and Agatha All Along are all pretty good. But I think if I had to pick an absolute favourite, I'd have to go with Game of Thrones. It's a shame that they butchered it towards the end, but the first 4 or 5 seasons were some of the best TV that I've ever seen. And even though the last few seasons were terrible in terms of the writing, there were still enough decent action scenes to make it watchable. How are you going to get a stack of dragon eggs? So, of course my main aim on this world is to get a full stack of every single item. However, of course you can't get a full stack of dragon eggs without duping the item. So I'm just not going to do that. The dragon egg is not part of the overall challenge. And the final question for now, how many god apples do you have on this world? So I think I've got the full stack in the checklist, and then I have like another 25 in my ender chest. These used to be very rare, but now that you can get them easily in ancient cities and through trial vaults and stuff, they're not that rare anymore. And one final question for this video, because I've got one more time lapse to show. It's not one that somebody asked to do for the Q&A, it's just one that I get asked about quite often. A lot of people ask me if I'm ever going to leave the world that I'm currently on and start a hardcore series. And the short answer is no, I don't plan to ever do that. And the longer answer is I just don't agree with hardcore Minecraft, and there's a few reasons for that. It does make sense for these big YouTubers to play hardcore because that's where the views are at, and they get a bunch of views from their videos, it helps them pay the bills, and then eventually 4, 5, 6 years down the line, they make a mistake, they die and lose the world, and then they can just start again and start getting loads of views over again. So because they're making so much money from posting those videos, it's not a waste of time when they do eventually die and lose the world. But for people like myself that just play for fun, I know I do upload and I make a little bit of money from these videos, but honestly it's not a whole lot. If this was a hardcore world, I would have survived for about 19,800 days. Over 4 years I would have put a lot of time and effort into it, and then I eventually died on this world because I wasn't looking at the screen. So 4.5 years worth of grinding basically would have just gone to waste. And another reason I don't really agree with hardcore is because totems exist in the game. So all of these hardcore YouTubers are out there with their videos like, oh, I survived 10,000 days in hardcore Minecraft, but during that time they used 500 totems or whatever. So did you really survive 10,000 days if you actually died a whole bunch of times, but totems exist so they don't let you die? And also from my own experiences of just playing the game, the only difficult part of survival is the first 100 days or so. As soon as you have some kind of safe base set up, then you've got all of the enchanted diamond gear or netherite gear. At that point, there's not really a whole lot of danger in the game anymore. So for players like myself that do have 15 years of experience on this game, I would basically just play hardcore, I'd survive maybe 6, 7, 8 years. And then one day I'm just going to make a stupid mistake like I did on this world, where I wasn't looking at the screen, and that's how I died. So yeah, I don't really agree with hardcore, especially for casual players that are not making thousands of pounds every month from playing the game. I have much more fun knowing that if I do happen to just not pay attention one day and I die, like I have done a few weeks ago, I can keep playing on the world and it's not a big deal. But I do understand why some of the newer players do like hardcore, because it's still a challenge for you. The game is not as easy as it is for people who have played for 10 or 15 years. So I do understand the hype around the game mode, but it's just not for me. Okay, so that's all the questions answered for today. I'm sorry if I didn't get round to answering yours. I know some questions came in after I already recorded all of the audio, but I do want to show some of the materials that I managed to gather during this episode. It actually took a long time to mine all of these ores. I've only just finished it right now, which is why you can still see the dirt here, and this is all of the stuff that I managed to get. So plenty of lapis, you can see a little bit of redstone there, and then there's a full chest of redstone blocks. I don't really need this many redstone blocks, I get plenty of this from my witch farm. I could use it for some map art or something like that in the future. I don't really think I'll use this much lapis, I mostly use it for dyes. but I definitely won't need this much. The golden iron I will probably use for some kind of build at some point. Then the coal over here is always useful for fuel. So this is all of the ores I managed to get. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to do a time lapse of this. The whole reason why I used Silk Touch on all of these ores was so eventually I could make a tower and then I could record a third person time lapse, kind of like I did with the quartz earlier. But for some reason I just could not join on my second account, which is how I record my third person time lapses. It just wouldn't let me join the world with that account, and I don't have much time to finish recording this episode. So yeah, I didn't manage to do that unfortunately, but I'm sure I'll get plenty more ores just from playing on this world, and then hopefully at some point in the future I can actually record a time lapse. And this is some of the other stuff that I managed to get. So plenty of quartz, I kept a little bit in regular form there. Loads of skulk. I do have plans for most of these items here. Plenty of wood over here. And I also collected some concrete. So there's some light grey concrete and then some cyan concrete, which is what I use for the lab that I started a few episodes ago. And also plenty of mud, which is what I'm using for the pathways around the village. As I said earlier, I do want to focus on building for the next few episodes, especially over here at the base, so these materials will get used. And one more thing before I end the episode, I did collect these items earlier. I've already added some of them to the checklist over here. I asked if there was any more that I missed, and since then they actually added another record disc, which is the chicken jockey one. So I was going to try to get that in this episode, but I'm just not going to have time. So I will try to get that in the near future. But yeah, that is everything for today's episode. I have already done a little bit of the editing and I realise some of the clips are a little bit glitchy. So I apologise for that. I think there's just an issue with my recording software at the moment. But I'll try to get that fixed for the next episode. I hope everyone enjoyed and I will see you all next time.